and we formed it, not to give the blessings of liberty, but to secure them, not to the half of ourselves and the half of our posterity, but to the whole people, women as well as men. This quote comes from a speech by Susan B. Anthony called On Women's Right to Vote. Susan B. Anthony was active in many movements during her lifetime. She was even arrested for her work in women's suffrage, and she believed that everyone should have the right to vote. Susan B. Anthony was a woman with a purpose, and she fought continuously to better her nation. So first, let me tell you about Susan B. Anthony's life. According to the biography of Susan B. Anthony by the National Susan B. Anthony Museum and House, Susan Brownell Anthony was born on February 15, 1820, to an activist Quaker family. She was taught to be fearless from a young age and had a strong sense of justice and compassion. She gained her compassion from being a teacher for 15 years. But she then became active in the temperance movement, which was a movement that discouraged the consumption of alcohol. It was during this time that she met Elizabeth Cady Stanton, another prominent figure in women's suffrage. Because of this, she was inspired to devote this movement to be her life's work. She was also active as an abolitionist, educational reformer, labor activist, and women's rights campaigner. However, she is most known for her work as a women's suffragist. She traveled across the nation to campaign for women's right to vote. During her lifetime, she even got the University of Rochester to admit women in 1900. Sadly, she passed away in 1906, before the 19th Amendment was passed in 1920. It took 14 years after her death for women to secure the right to vote. Now, let's talk about the background of this speech. Susan B. Anthony delivered her speech on women's right to vote throughout the state of New York in 1873. In an article published in the April 2016 issue of Investor's Business Daily, Scott Smith stated that Susan B. Anthony, as well as 14 other women, illegally cast their ballot in the November 1872 election. Later, all 15 were arrested. Only Anthony was indicted, though. During her trial, she continued to prove how she was being treated unfairly. She stated that she was not being judged by her peers. This was because the jury was full of men, since women weren't allowed to be jurors at the time. In the end, the judge demanded that the jury found her guilty, and they did. She was fined $100, but she refused to pay. In addition to this, she wanted to appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court, but the judge prevented this by releasing her. Because of this injustice, she decided to give this speech to promote this cause. Lastly, I want to tell you how this speech promoted betterment. This speech was given after her arrest to promote women's suffrage. Susan B. Anthony wanted better for everyone, not just women. And this is seen in a quote from her speech. It was we, the people, not we, the white male citizens, nor yet we, the male citizens, but we, the people, as a whole. She believed that women were persons, which made them citizens, and therefore no state had the right to make a law that prevented them from voting. In order for women to fully enjoy the blessings that liberty gave them, they should be allowed to secure these blessings through voting. In summary, Susan B. Anthony's speech on women's right to vote showcased her life's work in women's suffrage and sent the message that women would no longer be denied a vote. Although she didn't see the day that women were legally allowed to vote, her work is commemorated by being on the face of the $1 coin. Thank you.